Produced by the Cleveland Sound Radio Network. Here is the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show, hosted by Glenn Moore and Steve Guy.
Welcome, everybody. This is Awesome Wrestling Show, episode number 98, part B. Yeah, that's right. 2 shows this week. And since we're not going 98, 99 because we need to push back 100 a little bit to get those plans squared away, we figured since we had Johnny Gargano, we had Gargano in studio earlier this week. The interview was posted on our website, our revamped website, up and running again, and on Libsyn, iTunes, Google Play, all the podcast platforms, a special 98 Part A episode of Johnny Gargano talking about his match at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, also the Glorious Bombs, how that all came to fruition, and he talks about some Cleveland wrestling stuff and his final match at AIW. So that episode is up on the website, and like I said, all podcast platforms. And as of right now, it's making the runs on all the big wrestling websites. So a little hat tip to Ryan Satin from Pro Wrestling Sheet for giving us some linkage and giving us some run for the show. So make sure to head over to our website and listen to the interview. And this show is going to be more geared towards some of the top news surrounding professional wrestling. And we're going to talk about The Miz. We're going to talk about maybe some SummerSlam and how the line of reality and scripted has been blurred the last couple of weeks when it comes to WWE. But first, make sure to buy our t-shirts, ProWrestlingTees.com. We have our logo t-shirt up there. We have our Political More Guy t-shirt up there as well. And we want you guys to buy them, support the show. It's like buying us a few beers. And you can sport it and send us a photo. Tweet at us at TIA Wrestling with your shirt on. And we will greatly give you a nice little retweet, maybe even a GIF with a thumbs up. Maybe we'll do that for you.
Put them on the Facebook page.
Put them on the Facebook page, too. We love people posting on our Facebook. And poke us.
We'll put them on the Facebook page.
Oh, that's true. They can post on our Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, our Tumblr.
Our repost Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram. So if you are going to buy our shirt, we will give you some love. And we will have some shirts, our logo t-shirt, this Friday. If Steve remembers the box this time.
I'll bring them this time.
This Friday, AIW. Make sure to check that out, AIWrestling.com. And we'll have some t-shirts for you as well. Credit cards are accepted. We will like to have cash in our hand. So we'll be there this Friday with t-shirts, but buy them online as well. ProWrestlingTees.com link is on our website. All right. Let's get into the big news of the last 24 hours.
There's going to be an episode 100.
Yeah, there is.
That wasn't the big news?
No.
I'm sorry. Okay, you do your thing then.
I did tell.
I know.
Listen to the Gargano.
Yes, you did.
We are doing episode 100. We don't know what we're going to do yet. I think we're going to have in-studio people come in. So if you're in the Cleveland area, let us know on social media that you guys want to come, and we'll put you on the guest list.
Yeah.
So we can only fit maybe 30 people. We can fit 30 in here.
Oh, yeah.
It goes in the back.
If they're standing around, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's limited seating.
Right.
So, but yeah, we'll
standing room only.
Be able to come in here. Maybe we'll have some brewskis.
Sure.
Reminisce about the 100 episodes of shows that we've done.
Yeah.
And enjoy a good time. So maybe we'll hit up the bars after. We'll do something fun. But we will do episode 100 in the studio here. Have you guys come into our nice big studio, very luxurious space here in Lakewood, Ohio. So if you're in the Northeast Ohio area, please let us know on social media so we can get a good head count on how many people are going to be coming to our little shindig. We don't want to be here alone. That would suck if nobody comes episode 100.
We'll get some people.
Hopefully.
We'll invite John Thorne.
Hopefully we don't have to pay these people to come.
He's famous now?
Somewhat. He's getting there. All right, let's get into it. The Miz making headlines, the current IC champ. And if you watch Talking Smack, which I think is more entertaining sometimes than actually the actual SmackDown show when it comes to off the script things. But if you haven't seen the video, please watch it before we get into this episode talking about it, because the video does not do the audio justice. If I just play the audio right now, it wouldn't do the same thing as watching the video. So watch the video. So watch it now. All right. Thank you for watching. So now you can get into the discussion. Now, Daniel Bryan and Miz, I'm sure, were in character going at each other, and it got a little heated between the two. Daniel Bryan dropped some coward lines, some soft lines to The Miz, who has never been injured in his WB career for a long length of time. He's a company guy. He's a guy that does movies. He does everything WWE asks from going to India on a whim to do promotional stuff, to go to Australia, all over the country, be a star, TV. He knocks it out of the ballpark. He is a company guy. Got that main event, the only heel champion in WWE history to go into WrestleMania main event a champion and walk out still champion with the belt. Only one. Right. Every other one has lost to the face. Miz has evolved. He has gone through some shitty booking, some crappy character being a good guy. He's not a good guy. He is a bad guy. Going through that phase, going from having Mizdow, carrying that, not carrying, but it was equal, but having that and taking what could have been an awful situation into amazing. Everybody loved it with Damien Sandow, with Mizdow, to being like the crappy good guy that he is, to being a heel. Maurice coming back, the Hollywood A-lister. And you know what? Yeah, he is my friend, and I'm going to be biased towards him. And yeah, I talked to him today, and I'm like, dude, don't tell me this was a work. Like, don't tell me if it was fake or real. I don't want to know, because I'm sure Steve will relive some old promos that we loved in the past. But this reminded me of like 1992, Ric Flair style WWF promos, a guy talking to a camera very passionately, and you didn't know if this is real or fake. And if you're asking yourself that question, WWE is doing their job.
They are. No, they did, and they did a great job of it. The SmackDown, was it Talking Smack? That's the name of the show?
Talking Smack.
Daniel Bryan has kind of been controversial in general on there so far, because the one day he pretty much said he had a problem with what John Cena said on SmackDown about how he basically downplayed the whole indie scene in general and said, I'm going to stay here forever and I would never wrestle again, and Daniel Bryan took a problem with that.
Yeah.
And now you have this with The Miz, and it was intense and it was fun to watch as a wrestling fan in general. I do think if it was serious, I took what Daniel Bryan was saying when he called Miz a coward. Honestly, I wasn't sure. Part of me was like, wait, like I questioned it. I was like, was he saying that as he thinks that guys who wrestle in the indies are here, there, and everywhere, and they're doing everything, and they're going crazy in the ring, and The Miz doesn't? Or is he saying that as Miz, as a heel, the character, is a coward within the ring? And I was thinking, hopefully that he meant the in the ring thing, and we're going to have a back and forth between a heel and the GM, but then it took on a life of its own.
It was, I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it live. I woke up at 3 a.m. I was up at 3, and I saw the tweets. I saw like the videos being posted on social media, and I watched it. And at first I thought, when he said coward, it was more towards like, you use Maurice as a distraction. You take shortcuts to get a win. But then Miz said, well, I beat Apollo Crews clean in the ring. No distractions, no cheating. And I think Miz, I think they were both like in character. And then when Bryan said coward and soft, WWE style, which is kind of like breaking the kayfabe wall a little bit. He started it. The Miz, I think, just knowing him personally, he is sick of people disrespecting him, not calling him a quote unquote good wrestler. He hears that, he reads that stuff, and he's been in WWE for over 10 years, hasn't been hurt, is a guy that has multiple championships. He does all the corporate stuff, and even now today, people don't give him respect. So I think maybe it was a breaking point. Maybe there was something behind the scenes we don't know that is going on as well too.
I think the breaking point in that whole back and forth, which you just brought up, was when they were talking about Apollo Crews, and The Miz said, I beat him cleanly.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of those things. I think at that point, he did take it as being, oh, I'm a heel, I'm supposed to be a coward, but guess what? I just won cleanly. And then Daniel Bryan, and we talk about, peeling back that fourth wall, so to speak, and then he said he was more proud of Apollo Crews in that match than The Miz winning.
Yeah.
And if you were going based upon, this is all a story, this is not a shoot. Well, you shouldn't say something like that, because what that meant to me was, I'm proud of the show that Apollo Crews put on. He carried that match, and for people who really know wrestling, they will understand that. That it takes, like we always say, it takes two to tango, and to have a great match, you got to have two people going in, or you got to have one person who really carries it. And then it seemed like then, in Daniel Bryan's mind, that match was good because Apollo Crews was involved, not because it was Miz and Apollo Crews. And to me, that's when then the Miz's tone really changed, and I don't blame him for that.
No, not at all. Because
that did to me cross it. It's like, all right, well, if we're talking about everything is real, wins and losses, you shouldn't be proud of the guy for losing. He lost. And I think if it came off that way, Miz, in character, would have said, how can you be proud of somebody who lost? He is a loser. Why would you want him on your show? That's the kind of promo you would expect. But just the way that Daniel Bryan said it seemed more personal.
And there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that we can state here that, one, Daniel Bryan, it eats him every time he's in the ring and he can't wrestle.
Yeah.
He signed a new contract as a GM for Raw, for SmackDown, as more of a figure more than a wrestler. He's not going to be wrestling in WWE probably ever again. WWE will not let him wrestle.
Is it the world's best kept secret that Daniel Bryan is coming back to wrestle?
He's not going to wrestle. There's no way.
If that were just throwing it out there, in a fantasy land, that would. Is that were the case? Good Lord. Well, we look back at this as being the greatest
if I can hit
shoot promo
a D-Bry
ever.
Miz thing, I would love to see that. I don't want to dissect the whole video, take by take, but they had the Miz, going at Daniel Bryan. Hey, if you really love wrestling, quit WWE and go back to the indie scene.
Right.
Which Daniel Bryan could, if he wanted to run the wrestle, he could. But then there's other factors like, Brie Bella, who I'm sure is a voice in his ear saying, if you go to the indies, I don't want you seeing get killed.
Yeah, he needs to stop blaming it on WWE, because there is obviously doubt in his mind that he can really harm himself for the future.
If he wanted to, he can make just as much money on the indie scene,
sure,
wrestling for big Ring of Honor, Japan. He can make a lot of money doing that and doing his own thing than he can in WWE. I'm sure he's making a lot of money in WWE, but he can live very, very comfortably on the indie scene himself. So it's not, he's just doing it for the money. Now, Miz saying go back to the indie scene and go back to the VFW, the bingo hall, was terrific because, the Miz, he was not a guy that did that. He was a guy that, took the MTV opportunity from Real World into Tough Enough, then Tough Enough into a contract, and then contract into, being the Miz took his bumps in the road.
He did.
He was kicked out. He was kicked out of the locker. He was not allowed in the locker room his first time there. He was changing in the public restrooms with other fans, surrounding him, changing for his match in those environments. So he took his his bumps in the road. He
went through
paid his dues.
Some serious hazing.
Yeah, with Chris eating chicken over Chris Benoit's bag. Yeah. That's why he got kicked out. I mean, he made mistakes, on his way. So, but it's a fact that, Miz is not an internet darling. He didn't, go to Ring of Honor. He didn't do the indie scene. He didn't compete in front of 20 people in a sweaty bingo hall. And I think that some people hold that against him because they don't think that he paid his dues. Like he was on MTV and he got a contract. I mean, you still have to work your ass off to be a wrestler. Like you don't hand this stuff.
It's interesting because wrestling seems to be the only form of athleticism where we really think that. And if you put it into perspective and you compare this to actual sports, you don't have this sort of argument. If you have a guy who has spent years and years in the minor leagues of baseball and then finally he already gets his due, people aren't sitting there being like, oh my God, I love this guy because he was amazing in AA and in AAA, and so now I'm going to get behind him more than anybody else in the majors, even though he's only hitting 237 as opposed to this guy who's hitting 330. It's like comparing somebody that spent so much time in the minor leagues to Bryce Harper and saying, well, Bryce Harper isn't as good because he didn't put forth, all those years of work and everything. Well, no, he's still putting forth the work. It's just some people, we are ignoring talent. Yeah. I agree that there is hard work and there is talent, but some people do have more talent than others. That's just the way that it is. If I sat here and, tried to be a rock star every day of my life. That doesn't,
I thought you were the Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, that's right. That doesn't mean that. That's a perfect example. So, should Justin Timberlake be better or worse than me? Or actually, that's a great example too, because that's like saying Justin Timberlake. Let's compare him to The Miz. Comes up through like the Mickey Mouse Club, and NSYNC, very manufactured thing. And now he's an incredible success in the music world. But does that mean that he's not as good as somebody that is like, I don't know, the Black Keys, who was an indie darling for a long time, and then they won some Grammys? So is he not as talented musically as those guys are, just because he took a different route? And I think that's what we're coming into here, is you have so many people who are saying, well, these indie guys are more talented than the guys that are coming up from this different route.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's not fair, because you got to believe that these guys are still busting their ass too. You don't just become a professional wrestler simply because your family has a name or because you made a name doing something else. There is still work that you need to put forth, because there are a tremendous amount of kids, of wrestlers out there that we've seen fail or have not even come close to making it.
And I mean, exactly right, because, and I feel like there's a lot of fans out there. And it might be a small. When I say a lot of fans, it's a large number, but I feel like it's not as big as the whole group of wrestling fans. But there is a large number that represents a small group of wrestling fans that are very vocal on social media and Reddit and all the forums that won't give guys like The Miz or guys that didn't quote unquote make it through the indies, and they won't respect these guys because of that. And I know, we know a lot of wrestling fans that respect guys like The Miz, and even other guys that didn't go indie route. They were brought in.
Yeah.
Even guys like now. I mean, Roman Reigns wasn't a big indie guy. He wasn't like an internet darling. But I'm saying, like, but those guys now that are brought up with no indie, like Dana Brooke and like Batista, who didn't really have any, all the Brock Lesnar, who had a wrestling background. But those guys were like groomed for greatness. Like they were groomed, they were brought in because they had the look.
Yeah.
And The Miz, I mean, you could argue that he was brought in because people knew him in the real world. And then he turned out to be an excellent wrestler, and he's over 10 years in the business. And I think the promo, back to the promo, this was like kind of like I think he always wanted to say that in some sort of.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, he did it great. He didn't seem like he was bitching, but he kept it like in character, or like what The Miz would say. But then he was speaking as Mike Mizanin too.
Yeah.
Like it was perfect.
He did a great job of it, and and maybe it's because the majority of wrestling fans are very blue collar people, and you look at it like that. But how can you knock a guy for? I mean, think about it. If The Rock was created in this era, would you dislike The Rock? Because growing up, he thought, hey, I want to play football, and he went and got himself a college education and played football and tried to follow that dream. There's a lot of work that you're putting forth in that and effort, and he didn't start wrestling when he was, 16 years old, like some of these guys do on the indies. And so would you hate him for that, despite the fact that he obviously has all this talent? It
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, and it's just people need to realize there's just... like anything in life, there are two ways to go about it. And I think that's what The Miz is probably getting frustrated with. And look, I'm all for it. I agree with his frustration. I enjoy a lot of the indie wrestlers, but I also am cognizant of the fact that there are other ways for you to groom and make your way to success, just like anything else.
I mean, if you want a job, there is a path to get it.
Yeah.
And it's because
and not
someone
one,
doesn't go the
not
same.
necessarily one path. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody has their own path. And if you can get it because you want a different path and you can pull strings and you have this resume or you have an in with somewhere, who wouldn't take that alternative route to get the shortcut to get in?
Sure.
Any job, any guy that's working an office job, obviously wants to move up. They're trying to get the quickest way up there. What's the difference between that and professional wrestling? There isn't. And we know a lot of indie guys that have aspirations of being in WWE. And, we look at them and say they're a great indie wrestler. Are they going to be a great NXT WWE wrestler? Probably not. This is probably they're going to be their stopping point. But, then again, you see guys that, are guys like Gargano we see and Ray Rowe. And we see those guys competing at AIW that deserve to be featured in a bigger scene each and every week. So and it's just a matter of waiting for your time. And some guys don't have to wait. Some guys, they have to go through some bumps in the road in the indie scene to get there. But and ultimately, wrapping up this segment with The Miz is, I hope Triple H and Vince, see this, and something happens from this promo, because this is a promo that made me fall in love with wrestling back in the 90s. This is a promo that instantly reminded me of Ric Flair looking in the camera and just going apeshit. And if something doesn't come up from this, a storyline, major storyline, because I don't want to see fucking Apollo Crews wrestle The Miz again. I don't want to see that. I want to see The Miz, and this is going to help elevate the IC title too, is something maybe happening with D. Bry, maybe someone returning, maybe like, if Shelton can come back, in like a few months, something with him, something that we haven't seen before, or even Miz being in a title picture. I mean, who knows? But like, something needs to come from this, and I hope it's a good thing for Miz. And, looking back, maybe that hopefully doesn't hurt him either. I don't think it will. I think good will come out of it.
Yeah, this is different than we watched Dolph Ziggler say, look,
definitely.
I cratch and I, crawl, whatever, scratch and crawl and all that stuff, not week in and week out, but that started to become a regular thing. That was his character of, I'm getting pushed down because of this. The Miz has always just been his heel and been relatively quiet about it, except in a heel manner, saying, I'm the Intercontinental Champion. I'm obviously proving I'm the best. This is closer to a CM Punk pipe bomb, the initial one, than it is something like what Ziggler was doing, how he was getting overlooked.
Yeah.
In the last however many years since that, this is the closest we've gotten to Punk's pipe bomb. It didn't happen on the show. Certainly, it happened on the network, though.
Oh, yeah. And, 5 years ago, maybe YouTube wasn't as big as it is, today. And it's has over 500,000 views on YouTube. It's going to be and that's in one day, less than 24 hours. And, social media with Twitter video, everybody having a phone, like, it's blowing up. And I really, really hope that, like I said, something good comes out of this for Miz, and he finally gets another big push, because he main evented WrestleMania and won. And who can say that? There's been 32 WrestleManias. Only 32 guys can say they main evented and they won, and they were the final. Well, The Rock technically was the final image, but hold up the belt, and end the show as being WWE champion. Not many can say that, and I know. Hey, I'm a Miz fanboy. I'm gonna admit it. You can sit there and say I am. I'm biased towards the Miz, but I've been saying this for years, last couple of years, especially on this show, how the Miz deserves to be respected. He needs a chance, not just giving title reigns that don't mean anything, or doing hot potato with other guys. He needs a legit run, and I hope he finally gets it.
Man, I'm the guy who said I'm not necessarily biased. I appreciate him. I'm a fan, but. I'm the guy who said at Royal Rumble they should have gotten the biggest heat out of it and made him the champion and win the Royal Rumble with no storyline, because that's what you get out of a Royal Rumble, where you suddenly need a champion. So what? Because I respect the work that he does as a heel. I think he's phenomenal. If there was one guy I thought that could carry that load and take that heat, it's The Miz. That would have been great.
Final thought before we go to the next segment. I see a lot of people on like the forums and posting on stories that they may have not respected The Miz before this, but that they do now, and they like The Miz.
Yeah.
But if you go to a show, make sure you still boo The Miz, because we don't want to see a face turn by The Miz.
That will ruin everything.
We don't want to see people cheering for The Miz. Boo this man. Cheer for D-Bry if something comes up between these two, but boo Miz with all your might, because we don't want to see Miz get applause and get Vince or Triple H thinking that we could turn him face. Please no.
Yeah,
keep him heel.
He might have just ruined everything.
Keep him heel.
Being so good at this.
Yeah. Be a heel. Be a heel. And if this was fake, if this was scripted, then he deserves all the Academy Awards.
They both do.
Yeah.
Because Daniel Bryan's sitting there and taking it, though.
I think Miz was like the leading, and D-Bry was like Denzel's like big brother.
Yeah, but it takes something to be able to because you could see emotion on Daniel Bryan's face.
Daniel Bryan
and
was very awkward. He was he did not want to be there, and see you later. But yeah, kudos to The Miz. Let's see what comes from it. and hopefully it's not a mistake.
Oh my.
All right, keeping up with the same topics, same kind of discussion with our show this week is the whole Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton finish at SummerSlam with then you have Chris Jericho in the gorilla position going after Lesnar because he thought he legitimately hurt Orton. But first, I mean, kudos to WWE. You know?
Let's start with the match itself first.
Well, not even that.
As
Steve.
Robin Thicke, once famously made
God.
blurred lines there. I'm not going to sing it for you.
Come on, you have to sing it now. You've been waiting.
Blurred lines, you know you won't. That's all. That's what WWE fans wanted. Yeah. WWE fans want blurred lines.
Yeah, they do.
Somewhere out there is somebody with some form of musical talent. You're welcome. I just gave you a Weird Al WWE style.
There we go.
You can make a blurred lines and talk about wrestling in it.
There you go. we can make a whole Steve Guy does crappy musical impressions CD. We can make it for this is awesome.
It could.
We can add it to ProWrestlingTees.com as
Not
merch.
really, because they're only all like one line.
Well, it'd be a short CD. Short file.
The whole CD is the length of one song.
No, but I'm talking about WWE doing a great job. Probably not on purpose, maybe, or maybe they are. Even last week, 2 incidents that are making people, even outside of wrestling that aren't fans, saying, is this really going on, or is this scripted? If they have you thinking that, they got you. They got your call. They got you hooked.
Yeah.
So with The Miz, we talked about that. And now with Orton and Lesnar going at it, made you think, did Lesnar really beat the crap out of Orton, or was that supposed to happen?
That supposed to? Was Orton supposed to even be busted open and bleed that? I mean, he bled a lot.
That was a legit cut. I mean, that...
Oh, absolutely.
So...
I mean, you don't get 10 staples in your head from blading.
Maybe it was, and we don't know. I mean, we don't know what's... We do know that Chris Jericho was sucking on that hook big time.
He did.
He took that hook and
line, and sinker.
Vince was just reeling him in the gorilla.
Jericho did not get a couple answers.
No.
That he wanted from anybody. So reports are he went after Lesnar. Did you read what transpired?
Yeah, I can know for a fact that this did happen backstage, and they had to be broken up, and he had
Lesnar kissed him on the head.
Yeah,
go ahead and hit me, you pussy.
Kiss me or hit me, you pussy.
Kiss me. That's what it was. Kiss me back, you pussy.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Kiss me or hit me. I think it was.
And then he did it a second time and said, "Kiss me or hit me, you bitch." And
I mean, Lesnar can beat up anybody in the locker room.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
probably. But Jericho never backs down, as the stories from Jericho and Goldberg go.
Yeah. Jericho's feisty.
He is. But, I mean, kudos for him for what he thought he was doing was sticking up for one of the guys. And I get it, but you probably should have known whether... You should have waited for an answer to find out if it was a shoot or not first.
Definitely not in Gorilla. And you have Vince saying, spoiler for people, but saying it was a work,
Yeah.
It's...
Yeah, kudos to those guys for making it work look like a shoot. I mean, they did a great job. Sorry, Randy Orton had to bleed so much. Do you think that the Conor McGregor comments in the fight the night before, fed this even more at all? Like this kind of concept and idea, because here's this UFC guy for weeks leading up to it saying, "Oh, WWE isn't real. They're a bunch of pussies. I can kick anybody's ass in there." And then, and even Brock Lesnar specifically, and then you have a match like this. Do you think any of that stems from it?
No.
Them trying to say, "Hey, look, there's some legit stuff that can go down here too. It's not all."
No, I think it was more of a. I think they didn't want to have one guy go cleanly over the other, so.
So there's no real finish to the match.
You make Lesnar look like a beast, keep looking like a beast. Orton's return, you don't want him squashed, by someone in his return because he's going to be more probably full time than Lesnar will be, and they're on separate bands.
He didn't look like a sissy. It wasn't that he got knocked out or anything. They called it because how much he was bleeding.
Now maybe they wouldn't have it like him busted open. Maybe Lesnar would just keep pounding on him, and ref would have to stop it. Maybe.
Right, that could have been.
Which would kind of be like a UFC, kind of was like the UFC with him and Hunt, until time ran out. But I mean, kind of like that, but with the whole blood, which was great, added to it, which was, you see and people were like, "Oh, it's a blood capsule." No, it was pouring.
No, that was
out of his.
out.
And they have video of him getting staples in his head.
That was
great.
I mean, I don't remember seeing a guy bleed like that since Austin when he's bleeding all over his face.
That was a nice little stream coming out.
I mean, there was a pool of blood on the mat.
I want to put my cup underneath and just collect it.
I think they had to believe that there was going to be some form of blood, but obviously there's no telling how much.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why that match went last, too. Because, look, if he bleeds as much as he does...
He has to go last anyway. It's Lesnar.
Yeah, but if he bleeds that much all over that mat, you want to have 2 more matches after that?
Well, I don't think there's any question Lesnar, blood or not.
They would change it, probably. They'd change the canvas.
Yeah, they have 5 canvases under there. So.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know when they... But you got to plan accordingly. We need to change it throughout the rest of the night, you know?
Well, that's why they throw up commercials. And Dart, you've been live. You know what's going on.
No, I know, but I mean, that's...
Come on,
5
Steve.
just does it 5 for 10 matches.
Steve is too busy watching the Titantron with
5.
all, the ads.
Yeah, that's right. What's happening up there? 5 canvases for 10 matches doesn't seem like very much.
Well, WrestleMania they have a dozen.
Yeah, that's true. They change it almost.
Because they sell them. They sell pieces.
Yeah,
they also
you're
do
right.
that. Every match has its own canvas.
Yeah, as long as they have them, I guess.
So I mean,
but that I would think. I mean, good Lord, that much blood has to soak through.
This is not AIW's rig.
That was
Steve.
a lot.
This is a legit rig.
That was a lot.
It was a lot. It was great. I loved it. And there's a picture of Orton up the ramp.
Yeah,
a fan took of it, and Orton's actually smiling by himself, all blood on his head, on top of the summer, laughing
because he knew they pulled it off.
Oh, it was great. It was great, and Jericho being bit the hook on that one, and kudos to Jericho for sticking up for the locker room, but he probably should have known if it was a work or not.
You should have got your answer first.
Yeah. So now Lesnar is going to be on Raw. Orton's on SmackDown. Lesnar was fined $500, I guess, which is totally a work. It's not real, and you have CNN picking it up, which was hilarious. Trying to get that bait-click Brock Lesnar SEO traffic.
They're always on top of everything.
Yeah, and so you're gonna have Lesnar back, and with Raw, Orton goes back to SmackDown. And you know what? Lesnar looks like a badass, and so does Orton for surviving. A beast beating and being back, with SmackDown. Was he on SmackDown? I didn't watch SmackDown.
Yeah, he was on SmackDown.
So he was on SmackDown.
He just talked.
Yeah, so I mean, he's on TV. He survived. He looks like a badass too, and he can go back to being Mr. Randy Orton on SmackDown, and hopefully in a nice storyline. But yeah, I enjoyed the ending of SummerSlam. I know people don't like the whole that stuff that happened. People didn't really like without having a pinfall, which is just watch the show and like it.
From a business standpoint, you want to leave the people thinking something at the end of the show.
Yeah.
You don't want a
complacent crowd.
Yeah, and you want them to tune in the next 2 nights, right?
Yeah.
This will do it. You want to know if that was a work or a shoot, you're going to tune in.
Yeah, definitely. And if you should tune in, because if you do tune in, then you got hooked. Then you got hooked, and they hooked you on 2 instances in 48 hours. So we'll see what happens with Lesnar on Raw, what happens with him, next storyline, if he's going to be off TV for a bit. Also, Orton coming off looking like a badass for him, and see what happens with SmackDown. And before we go into our final segment, Steve, I know you've been watching Raw and SmackDown. I've been catching the YouTube highlights of SmackDown.
Yeah, and some Impact Wrestling. Been watching that too.
Okay. So Raw or SmackDown, who has been killing it?
I don't.
If you had to watch,
I don't really know, because last night we had an AJ Styles Dolph Ziggler match.
Yeah,
and I really enjoyed that.
But I'm just saying, if you're going to tell me, if you're telling one person has be able to watch one show live that week, what would you recommend, Raw or SmackDown?
Right now, I would venture to say SmackDown.
Yeah,
Raw seems to be more of the same.
Even though I haven't watched SmackDown, the YouTube highlights are really good.
And actually, speaking of blurred lines, as we continue on that, they did another excellent job with Ziggler being pissed that he loses to Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
And then AJ comes in. This is how SmackDown kicks off. AJ comes in the locker room gloating how he's the new face that runs the place. And then he looks at Ziggler, who's just kind of poo-pooing, and says something. Ziggler literally stands up and headbutts him and starts punching and wailing on him.
Yeah.
And that fight continued throughout the night until they had which was a really excellent match.
SmackDown has the star power that are guys who are established. Mm-hmm. And Raw seems to be the brand that, yes, Seth is established, but Finn is a rookie. Enzo and Cass, rookies. Charlotte, Dana Brooke, and that, and rookies. So it seems like Raw is like the developing, star power with NXT. Bringing up that avenue, and SmackDown seems to be like, all right, these are established veterans who are over with the crowd, that you can match any of these guys up with each other, and they're going to have a hell of a match. I heard John Cena is now part-time.
Because he's got to go film True Grit again.
Right, but he's going to be part-time even after that. He's not going to be a full-time wrestler anymore.
Yeah. Part-time,
not like Rock for. He's not going to be
he'll be around a bit more. But also, the guy's 38, 39.
He's getting up there.
Yeah.
He's getting up there in age. We don't want to see another D. Bry situation,
Well, and Cena's been injured multiple times throughout his career.
He always comes. He's a special.
Gotta save him.
He's a freak of nature.
He sure is.
He's Jesus. He's a freak. Him and Seth can heal from anything.
Apparently.
Anything. All right, let's move on to our final segment of the show, and we'll get into that and wrap this baby up. All right, final segment of the show before I wrap it up really quick. Steve brought up a good talking point is Seth Rollins and the whole him possibly being a guy that is maybe bad luck to wrestle. He might get hurt. We heard John Cena get a broken nose. We
Dangerous.
had Sting's career, legendary career, ended with a turnbuckle powerbomb. You had Finn get surgery on his shoulder because of a barricade powerbomb.
Yeah.
Am I missing someone else?
I feel like there was one other person that took a turnbuckle powerbomb somehow that didn't go well as well. Plus injuring himself with the knee.
Yeah. Well, that happened. We can't.
That happens.
But Bret the Hitman Hart was very vocal about Rollins, saying his style could kill somebody, and saying, quote unquote, I take no great pleasure in saying I told you so. We all know Bret loves saying I told you so. But if you're a professional wrestler and you keep hurting opponents or yourself, clearly you're doing it wrong. Which you said, after Seth hurt, quote unquote hurt Finn. Hey, injuries happen, and
sure.
A lot of guys, independent scene, professionally, they do the turnbuckle powerbomb. Guys don't get hurt very often. Barricade powerbomb, is it necessary? But since it doesn't give that much at all, maybe not. And that could be leading to the whole D. Bry conversation in the Miz. Miz plays it safe. Yeah, he does. He doesn't do anything crazy. He's a legit, mat wrestler. But D. Bry, suicide stuff, headbutts, doing the turnbuckle, back and forth 5 times in a row, which can't be healthy on your body.
But you got to know that you got to put on a show for people night in and night out.
Yeah, but
you got to do something. Well, that's what I mean. You got to do something that you're able to do for them night in and night out.
But is a turnbuckle power bomb? Is it that necessary? Do you really have to do that? Maybe
I don't know if it's that Bret Hart says he needs to get rid of it. There's something because Bret Hart has said this about Seth Rollins multiple times leading up to this, and so I think that there's something that he sees within Seth Rollins that he's just, I don't know, maybe too aggressive or something when he does it. He doesn't do things in a protective manner as well as he should to protect the guy that he is wrestling against. So I don't know that he's necessarily saying he needs to get rid of the turnbuckle powerbomb, but he needs to change how he does it. Do it more delicately, I guess, for lack of better terms, or more technically sound. Maybe he needs to be closer to the turnbuckle when he throws a guy. There's probably so much involved in it.
Yeah.
That I'm not doing it. I'm not taking it. So there's got to be more.
And there's freak accidents.
There absolutely are freak accidents.
Seth maybe wrestles like maybe 4 times a week with house shows and Raw.
Sure.
Pay-per-views.
And he hasn't hurt somebody.
And that's 3 injuries, and
Yeah. But although in the same thing, Bret did bring up it pains him when he watches Samoa Joe doing the. Was it the Muscle Buster?
Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah. Tyson Kidd,
It's
which is family
Tyson Kidd, but he still
Bret.
does it now.
Yeah.
But again, that also goes back to a freak thing too, because he did that how many times before? That's literally the only person that's ever happened to.
It's like, a half an inch of movement on your body could be between life and death, and that comes with anything.
And how much of it falls on the guy taking it? He needs to make sure that he positions himself correctly to take it, and if he's not confident in taking it, then maybe he shouldn't. Because I mean, there's probably guys out there who looked at Seth Rollins and be like, look, man, I'm not for that turnbuckle powerbomb.
Yeah.
Can we figure something else out? And I guarantee if you look back, there's probably a match where somebody reversed it and turned it into something else, and didn't take it from Seth Rollins. So I don't know.
It's not just Seth Rollins being crazy in the ring. It's the way the guy lands. It's footing. It's a perfect storm for a guy to get injured. Doesn't mean Seth is hard to work with. Hey, look, Triple H, Vince, they're smart guys. If they thought someone was very, very unsafe in the ring, they wouldn't put him in the ring with the top guys. So you just have to trust the guys, the powers that be. I remember the Miz. Even back to the Miz. Miz didn't catch somebody correctly outside the ring. He's done it a couple times, not catching someone correctly, and the other guy getting hurt or stunned. And Triple H will go up to him and say, "You better start catching these guys, or you're going to be out of a job." So there are stuff said and stuff in the back that we don't see, but I don't think Seth is dangerous. I don't cringe every single time he does the powerbomb to a turnbuckle. We've seen guys. We saw Frankie Flynn take a turnbuckle. A guardrail on the back. Is that a smart thing to do in front of 50 people? Well, I'm sorry, 300 people. Maybe not.
More than 50, but
I mean, but guys do it in front of 50 people. They do it in front of 25 people. They do crazy stuff like that. You're going to cut down on your body, but then again, you're right. Entertaining the crowd, doing some all shocking moves. But then again, I wouldn't.
But are there moves that you can dress up to be all shocking? But
a headlock.
So take a guy like
EC3 with a headlock.
Yeah, which is I love when that's one of my favorite things that he does is when he tells everybody, "You want to see something extreme?" and then just puts a guy in a headlock. A guy like DJ Z, for example, we have watched him do so many just ridiculous things and with people, but that guy practices it so much.
Oh yeah.
I mean, many times
he lives in the ring, basically.
So many times a week, so that what he's doing, it's very technically sound. So doing this is like a form of gymnastics with contact, so to speak, for him. So he's doing it all the time, constantly, knows how to protect himself, knows how to do it correctly, so that he can do it over and over again in a safe way. And I think that's what Bret Hart's saying, is that if you can't do that move in a safe way, don't do it anymore.
Yeah, I agree. So I have to see what happens. Obviously Rollins is going to be taken down from being a main starter of Raw, but
right.
If more people getting hurt, I'm sure something will be done. But I'm not worried about Rollins being an unsafe worker. Hell, if I'm not even a wrestler, and if I was in the ring with him, I would trust him enough more than other people to throw me around. I would trust his instinct. Is there a joke? I see a joke on your face, Steve.
No, I was just thinking.
Okay.
In my mind, I have always had shoulder problems, so I'm thinking, no way in hell would I take a turnbuckle powerbomb because my shoulder is going to pop out the moment I hit that.
Oh, thank you for that tidbit information. So if we ever have our
match,
if we ever have our blow off,
that's why I had to start working out again, brother, because the shoulders were feeling a little loose. I'm like, oh man, I got to start hitting the gym, tying these bad boys up.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up here. This is Awesome Wrestling Show. Go to our website, revamped website. We're going to start posting some stories there for you. And our shows are up there. We have iTunes links. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We have Stitcher link. Everything is on the website. This is AwesomeWrestlingShow.com. Very mobile friendly. Go and buy our shirts on ProWrestlingTees.com. We have 2 shirts up there. We will be selling some shirts on Friday at AIW. We have our logo shirts on the website and also our More Guide 2016. Let's make wrestling podcasts awesome again. Let's get those shirts sold. If you buy one, tweet us a picture. We'll put it on our Facebook and our Twitter page. We'll put you out there. Everybody can see you wearing a nicely new Pro Wrestling Tees. This is Awesome Wrestling Show T-shirt. So also, we wanted to let you know about episode 100. We will be announcing that hopefully here shortly. We might be taking a week break here off end of the month. So episode 100 will definitely be in September, maybe middle of September. And we'll plan something. We'll have details out and look forward to seeing a lot of the familiar faces and some new faces come to our amazing studio here in Lakewood, Ohio. Johnny Gargano exclusive interview. We are the only people that talk to Johnny Gargano since NXT Brooklyn. If you want to know about the Glorious Bomb and how it came to fruition, he tells it all. Tells it how it is.
Check it out.
It's making all the dirt sheets, wrestling links, websites, so make sure to check it out. The audio, the post is up there, and we truly appreciate you guys listening to each and every show. Leave us some feedback on Twitter and Facebook. I am done talking. We'll talk to you guys next week. This is Awesome Wrestling Show on ThisIsAwesomeWrestlingShow.com.